So here's what I see and what I've witnessed and what I've been talking to the coaches and players and talking to Jalen. Much more calm, much more confident, much more in command, much more in control.
All right, welcome back in, everybody. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for hanging with us on this Tuesday. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network, along with Barrett Brooks, Derek Gunn. I am Rob Ellis. Thrilled to have our next guest on. He spent the weekend in Canton, Ohio. Certainly worse places to be, that is for sure. The one and only from ESPN, national correspondent Sal Paolantonio. Sal Pal, how we doing today?
Oh, I'm doing great. Thanks a lot, Rob. Good to see you, D. Gunn, Barrett
Likewise,
Brooks.
brother.
Sal, give us your impressions,
bro?
man. We had Dick on yesterday, and he was amazing, as he always is, right? And yes. I know you were there, and you got to soak it all in and everything that went down this weekend. I know he gave you a lot of love for the campaign and getting him in and what it means to him and all those kind of things. But let's just hear it in your words, what it meant to you and how cool it was to see Dick get in there.
You know, Rob, it was just very humbling and inspiring. You know, I always find the Hall of Fame induction ceremony to be very inspiring. These are men at the top of their profession. Some of them have come up from never. Many of them have waited many, many years to get in, like this year's class, Tony Baselli, Leroy Butler, and, of course, our own Dick Vermeil. The Dick Vermeil campaign, as you put it, quote unquote, took a long time. You know, it's not like one of those organic Hall of Fame candidacies like Peyton Manning or Brett Favre or Bill Cowher or Jimmy Johnson. It took a long time to get Dick in. I was happy to lead the charge, but we had a lot of help. We had Ron Jaworski, Carl Peterson, Paul Domowitch, John Gannott of the Philadelphia Eagles PR department did a great job putting some material together. You know, you have to get a campaign where you're writing letters, you're making phone calls. You're just getting everything set up so that the voters have all the information. And then you start a presentation that you hope will go well. And it was a couple of years in the making, and we finally got him in. It was really important, Rob, to get him in. He's 82 years old. He really deserves it. And I wanted to get him in as soon as possible.
Hey, Sal, how long had the campaign been going on? From start to finish, would you say?
I would say well over 6 years, D. Gunn, in terms of just start to finish. But, you know, he's been eligible for well over a decade.
Yep.
You know, it really started to really gather steam at the 100th anniversary of the NFL. I was on the Centennial Selection Committee with Bill Belichick, Ron Wolf, the late, great John Clayton, Bill Polian, John Madden, some other writers. I was honored to be included on that committee. We met at the Hall of Fame, and the finalists for the coaches were Holmgren, Shanahan, Vermeil, Cowher, and Jimmy Johnson. And Jimmy Johnson and Cowher got in, and Vermeil was right behind them. So, you know, I would say 3 years ago was when, you know, we thought we had a real shot. That was the year that we got Harold Carmichael in and Steve Sable. So I was almost 3 for 3.
You know, it was about that time for him to come, you know, just like you mentioned, you know, Kyle Shanahan, Mike Holmgren, you know, it's hard to get a coach in, man, you know, before, you know, it's easier for players. What was that process? You know, how intense was it?
You know, it's a very challenging, difficult, and delicate task because there are a lot of deserving Hall of Famers,
right? And
there are 46 members of the committee. Now, I'm on a subcommittee called the Contributors Subcommittee, and this year we have lumped coaches and contributors in a 12-person field. That Zoom meeting will be held on August 23rd for the 2023 class. So, you know, there's a debate, a presentation, a debate, a discussion. It's all very professional. Listen, I had the privilege to be involved with the NFL and ESPN for a long time, but this is, to me, the favorite part of my job is being involved with the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And if you've never been there,
gotta go.
It's fantastic.
100%.
Well, if you can pull some strings, put me in. I know I'll have a snowball chance. But you got that much pull. No.
You better start working right now, Sal.
Yeah,
Make that happen, man.
Get him in by 2032 if you can.
Exactly.
They don't have a 6-man award.
Hey, Sal.
Hey, I know one guy, Jerry Evans.
Yeah,
Hey,
Jari, yes.
Jari Evans, I mean, of the Saints, a lot of Pro Bowls, a lot of All Pros, won the Super Bowl like you, Barrett. I mean, he's got a chance of being the next guard. And if you look at Pro Football Reference, I think he right now is listed as the 9th all-time greatest guard, and the top 8 are already in.
Wow.
So Jari Evans has a very good shot, I believe.
That's awesome.
Definitely. Well deserved if he does.
Hey, Sal, being at that Hall of Fame induction ceremony this weekend, give me your take on Bryant Young's Hall of Fame speech. I mean, because that touched so many people, and it just made me sit back and reflect on having my kids today, and even looking at my grandchildren. I can't even imagine what it's like to go through what he went through.
Well, you could hear a pin drop, and Bryant Young is one of the most soft-spoken, and well-spoken and intelligent and thoughtful players that I've ever come across. And, nobody really knew the story.
Oh, yeah.
That was in the audience there in Canton. And so it hit us pretty hard. It was very emotional. People gave him multiple standing ovations. And, it was the lead story coming out of Canton on all the websites, is the story that he told about losing his son. So it was very moving. And yes, absolutely. Got to appreciate what you have. Yeah, for sure. Yeah,
no question.
Makes you appreciate.
And it's the best part of those speeches, that you get the human side of this thing, and it makes you, all right, football's great, but how am I inspiring? How am I motivating? A lot of what Dick Vermeil talked about as well, and all the candidates. So you really great coverage there, Sal. I watched you all weekend with what you were doing there. Let me ask you about the Eagles, Sal. We're sitting here and we're very excited for this team. We see a lot of talent, but we know that doesn't always translate when it comes to, game time and when it gets real here. There's the Kelsey, little cleanup here with the elbow. If you didn't get a chance to hear, they think he'll be back for the start of the regular season. But what's your sense of where this team, as we, sit here on August 9th, as they head into the season?
Yeah, we are a month and 2 days away from the opener, Rob. A month and 2 days. So, what I like to do, and I did on the last time I was on your program, and thank you for having me, is I like to do little picture, big picture, right? So let's go little picture first. I made some notes. So we've completed about half a training camp, and here's my overall conclusion about the team. I think they'll definitely be more competitive in areas where they were deficient last year. I think they have improved seriously in their passing game. I think that they are vastly improved in their pass defense. I think they'll be vastly improved in their pass rush. I think clearly Jonathan Gannon now has the tools on defense to do more exotic things and do them more often. And if he doesn't, got to go. So I think it's really incumbent upon him to use his tools so that they get more pressure on the quarterback, and they have that. As for Jalen Hurts, so here's what I see and what I've witnessed and what I've in talking to the coaches and players and talking to Jalen. Much more calm, much more confident, much more in command, much more in control. I think that's a result of several things. First of all, he's only been in the same system for the 2 straight years, once before in his life at age 16. So he's in the second year with the same system and the same coaches. That has calmed him down. You can see it. He knows where to go with the football. And number 2, his body. A lot of people are not talking about this, but I talked about it the first day I was there, and I asked him and Nick Sirianni about it. He has slimmed down in his core. He's definitely got more flexible in his hips. He's definitely got stronger in his legs and upper body. You can see that he has molded his body. He went through the offseason. He went to California, and he said, okay, I got to get better in terms of my base, delivering the football, and I have to do much better in terms of being able to finish the season strong. I asked him, did you work out differently? He said, no, bro, just eat better. That's all. Just got to eat clean. That's what you got to do. So, and hey, that's a lesson for all of us, for sure. So I think his body is different. His mind is in a different place. And as far as delivering the football, we talked about this the last time I was on your program. Ball's coming out quicker.
Yeah.
The base is there. The ball's coming out quicker, a little bit more accurately than it was last year. And he's got a favorite target now. He's got his T.O. He's got his Tyreek Hill. He's got A.J. Brown. And you can see the guys who are doing the counting of the targets, A.J. Brown is getting most of the attention with Devontae on the shelf with that groin injury, but he's going to get most of the attention in this offense.
Yeah.
As he should. As he should. I look at this team as a whole, and this might be the most complete team I've seen, in the division. So, I mean, I think we have jumped ahead of Dallas. But as far as being complete, I think Howie Roseman did a masterful job of getting guys in a situation where they can become, better than they were. Because of that, do you see them as division winners, or are you still thinking that Dallas still has the upper hand on them?
No, I said on your program, you put it out on social media last time, I expect the Eagles to win the division, Barrett. I expect them to win the division. And let me ask you gentlemen a question. You look at the NFC right now. Who's in the NFC Championship game? Who's a lock to go to the NFC Championship game? Look at the NFC East. You got 3 quarterbacks in a prove-it year.
Yep.
Look at the NFC South. You got a 45-year-old quarterback and 3 quarterbacks that are one's coming back from an injury, another was changing hands. They completely blew things up in Atlanta. You got in the NFC North a new quarterback in Chicago, a new head coach in Minnesota. Green Bay, Devontae Adams and 169 targets are out in Las Vegas. So you look at San Francisco, they got a new quarterback. Seattle, new quarterback. Arizona, you'd never know what's going to go on with them in the postseason. The Rams, their quarterback's coming back with tendonitis in his elbow. You tell me who's a lock to be in the NFC Championship game this year.
I don't think anybody is, Sal. I'll jump on it first. I think it's incredibly wide open. We know how hard it is to repeat. It hasn't happened since 04-05. So, I mean, it's been forever, which, and you're right about the Stafford thing. I mean, I'm watching him work out yesterday, and they were saying how good it looked. He looked like he was just soft tossing everything because they were concerned about that. And yeah, San Fran's really good defensively, but we don't know about Trey Lance, and we don't know how Aaron Rodgers is going to react to not having that Devontae Adams safety blanket. So I think it's very wide open. I mean, way more wide open than the AFC is.
So why not Philly? I mean, honestly, I'm not being facetious. I'm definitely not being a homer here. I'm just suggesting it is wide open. If you get the division title in a home playoff game and you win a playoff game,
you're right there.
Yeah.
I mean, you're 2 games away.
That's
100%.
right.
You're absolutely right.
There's no question about it.
I'm thinking the same thing because you have a quarterback. He's not going to give you the huge numbers. He's not going to put up, 350 yards a game or 300 yards a game. He's not going to have, over 4,500 yards passing. But I think he's going to check the box in the most important box you need to check, and that's win total. He will find a way to win. You can count on him finding a way to win, whether it's, running, whether it's passing, getting, keeping the defense off the field. I think he can check that box. So they have a legitimate shot because of that.
I think they're deeper in a lot of ways than we've seen this team in quite some time. Obviously, they arguably have the best offensive line in the game. You add an A.J. Brown to a repertoire with a young and drastically improving Devonta Smith. The sky's the limit for Quez Watkins. You have a trio of good young running backs to depend on. I think their front 7 on defense has enough interchangeable parts now that you can play games, all kind of games, if Jonathan Gannon does what we hope he does with that quality of personnel. You have 2 proven corners. What else could you ask for right now? The big key is staying healthy, and that's the big key with everybody, staying healthy. I think on paper, I still think the Rams are the best overall team on paper in the NFC. When you look at the talent the Rams have, and when they've added Allen Robinson, and they've added Bobby Wagner, I think the Rams are still the most talented team on paper, but you don't play the game on paper. But I don't think the Eagles can have to worry about backing down from anybody.
No,
I think they can put up a fight with anybody in the NFC right now.
That's why I use the word competitive right at the top.
Yes.
I think that they will be more competitive in all the areas where they were deficient last year. And going back to what Barrett said, if you would ask me what's the number one key that has plagued this team over the years that you have basically eliminated with Jalen Hurts, it's turnovers at the quarterback position.
Yeah,
exactly. If the quarterback is not turning the ball over, it's like if your number 4 hitter does not strike out. It's the same concept. If your quarterback is not turning the ball over, you will be in a lot of football games.
That's right. That's right.
And if your defensive coordinator is getting after the quarterback, you will create field position opportunities. And the best way for Jalen Hurts and this offense, for the way they run the offense, is for a short field. Because like I said, let's look at now what's happening big picture in the NFL. What's happening big picture in the NFL, guys, is Honey, I Shrunk the Offense. You know what? Top 20 quarterbacks last year averaged 3.2 air yards per throw. That's the lowest it's ever been in the National Football League. And the Eagles were in top 5 in screen passes last year. And I think they have to do exactly what they did last year. Shrink the offense down so it's manageable. Open it up a little bit so that he can find A.J. Brown, get more yards after the catch. They don't have to take big steps offensively. They have to take enough steps so that they score enough points to win the division. They scored 444 points last year with a running offense. Okay? There was only 2 teams that scored 500 points last year in the NFC, the Bucs and the Cowboys. It's very easy for the Eagles to add 56 points.
That's right.
Divide that by 17 games, Rob. That's only 3 points. That's a field goal a game.
I've got my fingers. I got my toes. I'm using everything, Sal, to add that stuff up.
I mean, all you got to do is add 56 points to get to 500. That's 3 points a game. If your quarterback's not turning the ball over, that's very, very doable. Yeah. So if you have 500 points at the end of the season, that's going to be tops in the NFC.
Yeah, no question. And Sal, that's what I was going to ask you. The play to the strengths versus maybe what you want to do. In other words, we saw last year when they started playing to their strengths, they had success. They put up the points that you're just mentioning. We know that Jeffrey and Howie and probably Nick would prefer to be a passing team. How much of that struggle, that internal struggle, do you think comes into play? Or do they just say, hey, look, we got to win football games, man. Put all the ego stuff or whatever philosophical stuff we have to the side. How do you think that works out?
Well, I think that they'll try to find a healthier balance than they had last year. I like the fact that Shane Steichen is calling the plays. I don't want my head coach calling the plays. I want my head coach being the head coach. I want him being the general. You got a colonel over here. You got a lieutenant over there. Let him be the general of the team. I like that. And with one guy, Shane Steichen calling the plays. He did a very good job last year. I think he'll try to achieve more balance. Hey, listen, they went out and they spent $100 million on A.J. Brown. That tells you exactly what direction they want to go. They've got to increase the number of touchdown passes without decreasing the efficiency of the offense. Every team struggles with that balance, right, Rob?
Yes.
Increase production without decreasing efficiency. And like I said, you had 444 points last year. All you need is 56 more to get to 500, and you're tops in the NFC.
Well, defensively, I think they've upgraded, and Gann has put this team in a position where they're buying into what he's saying out there. Do they have enough, do you think, to shut a guy like, they couldn't shut really the big arms in the NFL. Will he call an aggressive game now because he has the talent that he needs?
Well, let's look at the schedule. So, you only can beat who you're playing.
Right.
All right. So they can get after Jared Goff week 1.
Absolutely.
He's a pretty stationary target in the pocket. Then Minnesota comes in, and they've had tremendous success against that offense, especially in that building. Lincoln Financial Field home opener. I like that. Then they go to Washington. And to me, that's the game. Because emotions will be running high on both sides. Carson's out to prove a point, right? And to me, that is the game. That's one of the critical turning points.
100%.
Because
It absolutely is.
I think that's a big game, don't you?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Monsters
Yes.
game.
And I'm gonna be truthful. I'm be truthful. I have it. You know, that's probably their first loss. Just because those emotions will be running so high. Carson is probably gonna play out of his mind, and probably be the one and only game he plays out of his mind. You know, but I mean, that's one of those games that can go either way.
Okay, so let's say it goes either way. But I mean, then you come home and you got Dougie P in Jacksonville. And Barrett, you've been on enough football teams, and D-Gun and Rob, you've been around to know that you take each season in 4 games, right? You go to the quarter pole. Okay, so where are we after 4 games? If they are 3-1 after 4 games, touchdown, we're good.
Yeah. Absolutely, no question.
Yeah, it's how the other monster is the Cowboys game week 6. They have to prove that they can not just hang with them, but beat them. It's been a struggle.
Definitely. That's home. That's in Philly.
Yes.
And here's the thing, Rob. They've been playing Dallas, Rob, at home late in the year. Those games have been meaningless, and they've already lost to Dallas on the road. Absolutely, Rob. Those 2 division games at Washington and Dallas coming into Philly are the 2 games before. Then they have the bye right after that.
Right, exactly.
Then they can beat a young quarterback with Pittsburgh. They can beat Houston. They can beat Washington at home. So you're absolutely right. Those are the 2 games at Washington and Dallas. So going back to Barrett's question, do they have enough defense? I think that they do, because how many Pro Bowl level quarterbacks are they playing on the road? Detroit, no. Washington, do you call Carson Wentz a Pro Bowl quarterback now?
No.
Okay, at Arizona, maybe is he a Pro Bowl quarterback at this point? Don't know.
Yeah.
So, it doesn't happen. They don't play a Pro Bowl quarterback until they go to Indy November 20th and play Matt Ryan, and he is, in the 9th inning, bottom of the 9th.
Well said.
Although I do like Indy overall, it's not like you can't get after him. Right?
Sure,
exactly.
And they played him last year, so they have a pretty good handle. I know it's a different personnel, but they played him last year, at least in Atlanta. So no, you make a great point. And then even after that, Sal, really, you're at the Giants, you're at the Cowboys again, you're at the Bears, who Justin Fields has nothing to play with. So I mean, your road quarterback level of play is not high, really.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in looking at the schedule and finding the road quarterbacks who are the toughest. And that sort of answers Barrett's question. Do you have enough? Do you have enough to go on the road and beat a Pro Bowl level quarterback? If you don't, you need to get more.
Yeah. Well said. Sal, what's your sense, Lee? I always like to ask you this because it's the perfect mix of you're here, but you're also so global NFL wise. What's your sense around the league of what the Eagles are and how good that people think that they can be as well?
I think they look at them as more competitive from year 1 to year 2 under Nick Sirianni, especially, as Barrett mentioned, the pieces that they have brought in to help Jalen Hurts, to help Jonathan Gannon. And I use those 2 because really both of them are on the clock as far as I'm concerned with this football team. It's Gannon and Hurts, no question. So they went out and they tried to help Gannon and they tried to help Hurts. And I think teams look at that and they say, okay, the front office did their job to the best of their ability, and now it's up to these guys to perform and to be productive.
Hey, Sal, I deliberately waited until the latter part of our discussion to ask you this question because it is such a hot button topic. Your perspective on this Deshaun Watson thing. He's been handed a 6-game suspension. The league, everything we hear is they want him suspended indefinitely for the season. How do you see this thing playing itself out?
I think it's a very difficult situation that the NFL has put themselves into. And now they have to find a way out to save face for the league. That's pretty clear. So when this special master, Peter C. Harvey, makes his ruling, I think it will reflect what the NFL wants. And then it will be up to what the NFLPA does and Deshaun Watson and his lawyers do. after Peter Harvey makes this ruling. Do they say to themselves, okay, well, we'll take our punishment and we'll deal with everything next year? Or do they say we want to get on the field and roll the legal dice, so to speak, and try to beat the NFL in court, which is NFL is undefeated in court. So that'll be hard to do.
Sal, in your estimation, if you gave them truth serum, do you think they would do it over again? The Browns, everything they went through with this, it just feels like there's so much fallout from this. And maybe it's just you didn't believe in Mayfield enough and you had to take a risk at this point. But what's your sense there?
You know, I don't know, Rob. I'm not close enough to it, but just as an observer who's been around the league, I've always liked Baker Mayfield. I think the shoulder problem really hurt him last year. The chemistry that he didn't develop hurt him last year. But remember, this is a guy who walked on at Texas Tech, walked on at Oklahoma, won the Heisman. So he's used to change and making the best of it. So I think that Baker Mayfield's going to be fine in Carolina. But look at Deshaun Watson. How many weeks will it be between games that he's played at the NFL?
A long time, man.
It's like over 90 weeks.
Yep.
That's a long time.
Yeah.
So I guess if I were speculating, I would speculate that the Browns would like to do it over. Yes.
All right. Interesting. Sal, well, listen, where are you at next? Where can we catch you? Are you going to any games this weekend as we kind of get this thing in full bloom here in the preseason?
We're putting a schedule together, but I'm actually going to go out and visit Frank Reich and Matt Ryan next week.
Nice.
Nice.
And then go down and see our old friend number 11 down there in Washington.
Oh, that'll be interesting.
They of course.
They fired their defensive line coach today. Did Ron Rivera in Washington? But it's fascinating what's going on down there.
Yeah, you know, they have been in disarray for quite some time.
Yep.
You know, I'm anxious to see. You know, you have, like I said, in the NFC East, you got three quarterbacks: Jalen Hurts, Carson Wentz, and Daniel Jones in a prove-it year. And the coach in Dallas in a prove-it year.
That's right.
So this is a year of living dangerously in the NFC East. It certainly is. I think.
Yeah.
It's and as I said, we can't really pick who's going to be in the NFC Championship game.
Right. It's up in the air.
Well said. All right, I suggest everybody.
Can Dable win with Daniel Jones?
Well, see, D-Gun, flip the script on that for a second.
Okay.
I think the Giants are going to be more dangerous.
That's what I said.
Because of Wink Martindale. Because of the defensive coordinator that came to Baltimore. He's a pro's pro. First of all, they will blitz more often and more effectively. It's all about blitzing the quarterback in the NFL.
Yes, absolutely.
Because, you know, that point of emphasis in the pandemic year handed down by Walt Anderson, the head of referees in the league, to not call ticky-tack offensive holding calls. So offensive holding calls came way down the last 2 years. So defensive coordinators have been saying to themselves for the last 2 years, Barrett Brooks, if you're not going to get caught for holding, I got to blitz you because you block everybody. You block out the sun.
Yep.
Right, Barrett? I mean, right?
Yeah. It makes it easy. You know what I'm saying?
You got to blitz this offensive line. The O-line can grab and clutch now because nobody's calling holding. So you got to send extra bodies at the O-lines, and that's what's happening. And I think that's why the Giants will see a big payoff in terms of turnovers created by their defense, better field position for Daniel Jones, and we'll see whether the young man can cash in.
Sal, awesome. Awesome, man. Awesome stuff. Thanks for coming back on. I suggest everybody,
thank you, my brother.
If you haven't read Philly Special, you got to check it out if you're an Eagles fan. You will absolutely love the book. Trust me when I tell you that. Sal, we appreciate it. We look forward to talking to you soon, and keep up the unbelievable work at ESPN.
Yeah,
good luck, man.
Yes.
Good luck this year.
Brother.
You know, it's safe travels also.
Hey, this is my 30th year covering the league. How about that?
That's
Got all that gray hair to
awesome,
prove it.
In this business,
awesome,
that is one hell of an accomplishment in this
That's
crazy
great.
business. Sal, keep it up, man. We appreciate it. All right,
Be good, brother.
got it. That is Sal Paolantonio. Good stuff
Great
out of Sal.
information, man. Great
Interesting
information.
Giants point there at the end.
Yeah.
Good question, Derek. That was
I didn't even think about it because I kept saying ever since I heard a couple of weeks ago from reports out of the Giants camp is that with this Daboll offense, you're seeing a lot of movement, a lot of shifting, and I'm thinking that's exactly what they did in Buffalo.
Yeah.
You know, you keep a defense on its heels. You don't know where the pieces are going to be. They have a quartet of receivers that underachieved because of a stagnant offense a year ago and because of a quarterback that could deliver. Now you're bringing in a true offensive mind who knows how to nurture quarterbacks. And now what are we hearing about? Saquon Barkley is looking phenomenal in camp. He's back to what he was a couple of years ago.
Oh, by the way, they get their Thibodeau, the
Thibodeau.
Yep.
And see, people have just written the Giants off because they were so bad.
Yeah.
But I'm telling you, I don't see them winning the division. I don't know if they're going to finish above last place in the division, but they're not going to be the weak sister like they've been the last few years. This Giants team is going to hurt a few people, and hopefully the Eagles are not one of them.
He was a good hire. They get a quarterback in there. Giants are going to start to become dangerous. That's for sure. All right. We keep rolling with the NFL talk. We'll get a little bit more into Washington. Sal touched on it. He'll be visiting down there soon, but there's a lot going on, as there usually is in D.C. We'll talk about that. Aaron Rodgers, Roquan Smith, Mekhi Becton, tons of stuff. We'll dig into the week 3 of the schedule with some great games. When we get to the regular season, we'll do that as well. So don't go anywhere. Derek Gunn, Barrett Brooks. I'm Rob Ellis. We are Sports Take, JAKIB Sports YouTube Network. Let's talk about your trees. In particular, let's talk about Flynn Tree Services. Flynn Tree Services is an experienced and licensed. They are fully insured in Pennsylvania tree service company that will trim or remove any unwanted trees off of your property. They offer cost-effective solutions to any tree problem you may face. So do you have any type of tree issues in your yard or on your property? If you do, they are just a quick phone call away. They are experts at trimming all types of trees and serve southeastern PA, South Jersey, northern Delaware as well. Flynn Tree Services specializes in tree removal, stump grinding, tree pruning. And now keep in mind, we're getting right into that sort of wheelhouse that time of year, hurricane season, storm season. Now's a great time, just before that hits, to get everything checked out. Get your trees evaluated. Go to their Facebook or Instagram page for more information and or a sampling of their work. Give Flynn Tree Services a call at 610-850-2848. That's Flynn Tree Services at 610-850-2848 or online, flynntreeservices.com. That's flynntreeservices.com.